and welcome to Conquering Mount Scrapmore with Brenda. I'm Brenda, and today we're bringing you another part of our case study on Dresden blades. I realized all of a sudden that we have not used the Dresdens that are curved, and I thought I want to show you how to use these because there's a few tricks and tips that would be good, other than tripping, because tripping is different, that you would like to learn on how to do these. So I want to also introduce you to a lady that some of you might already know her. It's Teaquilts, and it's Teajuana from Teaquilts. Now, Teaquilts, she does lovely chats, and she interacts with her viewers quite a bit, and she does, like, sometimes she'll do sewing, sometimes she'll just chat about sewing. You know, so give her a shot. Put her YouTube channel in the show notes below, as well as we have a Facebook group. Now, if you haven't joined our Facebook group, we offer one virtual sew date a month, right, with our entire group and myself, right? So if I don't know if I'll be able to put a Zoom link to a sew date or just to our Facebook group, but come join, you participate in a poll, you majority rules on what day we're doing our sew dates, and then we go from there. So come on in, let's get to the sewing on the fan box. Okay, we're going to make a curved Dresden fan block, right? So now this is a 30-degree ruler, so we're going to make 12 to go all the way around. But when you're only making a fan, you only make 1/4 of these Dresden blades. So what I've done is I have got 3 of them just like this, and I decided, okay, I'm going to sew them all the same way, so that's what they're going to look like. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to run these 2 first, and we're just going to get that set. Now you put them exactly so they're perfectly matched. There's no offsetting or anything like that. And I know it's curved. We haven't done our curved boot camp, but it's okay. I'll give you a trick on this one. So we just run this through very quick, very slick. Oh, for those of you in the Facebook group that are asking about my granddaughter's purse, she loves it. She loves it. She thought that was just so cute. So, and then we just match up all the ends and everything. There's no offset thing. I prefer to start at the fat end, not the skinny end, but that's me. Okay, now we're going to take a bit of really lightweight interfacing. I'm going to press, I'm just finger pressing these open, but you'll get the idea very quickly. And you get in there and basically open up the blades, right? So now I've got some really lightweight interfacing, and I just lay this on top, and I pin in place. And it doesn't have to be perfectly pinned, because basically you're going to use that interfacing to turn your work, right? And you want your 1/4 foot on because you want that good quarter inch seam around the curves, right? Okay, now we start at this end, and oops, get that open, folded under. When you get the interfacing under the blade of your 1/4 inch foot, if your 1/4 inch foot has a blade, and you just gently maneuver it around until you get to the V. You get right into the V, right where those seams intermeet, and then you change directions. You can get that off. And you change directions. There we go. Right to that, right where you want to stop, right on that seam line, right there. Okay? Now, we want to go in slow. No point in rushing. And there we go. And now we're going to start around the next part of the curve, the last curve. Okay, I'm just going to remove that pin because it's starting to get a little ripple, and I don't want a ripple on my fan. Okay, there we go. Now what we're going to do is I'm just going to pull the pins out for starters. I'm going to take the world's smallest scissors and clip, just rough trim off this excess interfacing because I don't need it in my way, and I don't need it in my block. It's lightweight enough that it probably won't cause bulk, but I don't want to be fiddling with it trying to get it to turn under nice and neat. And you just let's see, and you go down the edge of the fan a bit just so it follows in place if you've got, you know, an edge like that. Okay, so now that all goes into the pet bed pile, and you just clip around here. You just make little snippets because this eases your turning, and this is really important, you know. Now you go down the center of that right, don't cut your stitching line though, right? You go right down the center so you get a nice sharp point. And yes, clipping is tedious but important for the results that you want. I've made a couple of these blocks, doing test blocks, to see how I could explain this quickly to people. And clipping is kind of important. Now, there's also another tip I'm going to give you. Now, this is not my tip. This is Leah Day's tip. Now, if any of you watch Leah Day, she's a long armor, and wow, does she do some beautiful, she does beautiful quilts. And I'm going to show you this tip as soon as we get those curves out. I have used this tip, but she was the first one in YouTube to come out with it, so I'm going to credit her with it. All right. And you want to just smooth it down, just like so. Just with your fingernail. It doesn't have to be, and whatever side you want to, here we go. If you were to go from this side, your white would show. If you go from this side, you want your green to show. So that's, you just want to get the last of that right there. There we go. So you got a nice smooth curve. You've got a nice good point where the cleavage of the curve, like the cleavage in the fan, right? Now, I have a 9-inch square here. So what Leah Day talks about is going along here and taking a 90-degree ruler and making sure that this is at 90 degrees. This angle and this angle are at 90 degrees, and trimming off any excess. Now, yesterday when I was doing this, I had a little, we're talking like hair. A hair here and a hair there. So I'm just going to stand up to do this, just because I don't want to cut myself again. Because cutting myself was bad. Okay, now you want to line this up. And when you're trimming off that hair, nobody notices it. Nobody. Right? I mean, if you got people, your friends are investigating your quilt that closely, I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. So, okay. Now, once you've lined up that perfect 90 degrees, now you can't tell how much I've cut off, right? So I'm going to put this on and match up my 90 degrees, okay? And I want to pin it in place. And got to change feet again. There we go. Because I want that nice, I want it to stay nice. I want it to really get in there and nest perfectly into that block. And this really, once you get, like if you're doing a big fan quilt, this does not take long to do. Okay. Now I put on my So, and you're probably wondering what this is for, but it's coming. It's coming. Okay, so now what we're going to do is I'm just going to get on here. Now I'm going to back stitch because normally we don't. And I'm just going to back stitch into what would be the seam allowance of the block. Just right at the beginning. Because I like having my stuff being a real true pain to take apart if I had to. Nothing more than that. It's just one of those things that I like to do with fan blocks. And we're just going to quickly race around the side. Now, if you have to lift your foot to make the curve, do it. Now you change direction and you want right on that, you want to drop your needle right on that seam, right? To make your next curve. And I got a thread here that matches pretty well. Don't lift and pivot without your needle being down, because the needle down feature is handy on a sewing machine, but I have to maneuver mine. There we go. There. Next up, there we go. Now right here is, I'm going to back stitch and take my work off. Now, to reduce bulk in a quilt, they say it's always a good idea, once you get the pins out of the way, to remove this excess flap. And not only have you got an excess flap here, you have interfacing that you have to remove. So you just want to make a quick little snip and run around. Maybe you get bigger scissors than I've got right now, but that would make it faster. Okay, so that gets cut up into my piles of stuff. But this looks funny, doesn't it? This is where this comes in, this little square. Now, all I did was I cut a 2.5-inch square, right? Took it to the ironing board, ironed it nice and flat, and all I'm going to do now is line this thing up. And I'm going to poke it through here just to hold it in place so that I have a nice sharp angle, right? Now, I also have bias edges here and here, right? So with one movement, I'm going to go in that seam allowance again, and I'm just going to make a couple of stitches back and forth, and I'm going to go 1/8 all the way down to where I meet up with that half square triangle. Pivot with the needle down and go across the top. Now I'm going to make sure that I'm lying flat. My seams here are lying flat underneath. And I'm just going to go quickly along here. Just la-da-da. There. And now up the other bias seam, or the bias edge, just to stabilize the bias so it doesn't stretch until I go to sew it. Now, because the rest of this is straight of grain, I'm just, back stitching really quick and putting this under my needle, pulling this out, this pin out, and now I'm going to trim off the excess here, right? Now this excess is a little bit more to it because you're trimming off. You're going to leave a healthy 1/4 inch. And we'll get to our ta-da moment in a second. So today we decided to show you what to do with these ones with the curved top, right? And this is just a cute little fan block that we did. And basically you would put them in on your quilt and the fans would go all one way, normally. But we can do fan blocks differently too. We can do them where they're set like this. And then there's a cornerstone at the corner and sashing in between. So you can do a really eclectic looking blocks very quickly. This is just 4 more of these. And I have a 6th one over there, but I forgot to finish it, so I won't show it to you. But this is very, very quick way of doing like a block, right? You know, so just sew 3 together, applique them on, you know, put little corners in the edge, you know, half square triangles in the edge, and you're good to go. So that's it for me today. We have a few more fun ideas coming up with Dresdens and Dresden blades, so stay with us. We'll have a few more episodes in our case study here. So I would love for you to have a wonderful day. I really would. Okay, you take care now. Bye! My husband and I would like to thank you for watching today. We're so happy about the way our channel has grown, and we just want to wish you so well in your journey along with us. Please like, share, and subscribe, and tell your friends. Now, the next thing is this quilt. We are wondering if you guys would like this quilt as a free sew along on this channel this fall, this coming fall, winter. We were kind of thinking that this one would be really fun to do. We could do it in a larger size or a smaller size, it's up to you, but this one was a lot of fun to make. And it's all, it lends itself to being hand stitched, but you can also do this on a sewing machine as well. So let us know in the comments below. Remember, share, like, subscribe, tell your friends. Okay, have a great week ahead. Bye!